What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hanging Out with Skip. Probably should come up with a better name for this podcast, but here we are, doing the podcast. Not real important to me the name of it because what we're doing is it's for Cox and Space behind the scenes Cox and Space podcast, where I work on the animation for Cox and Space. Um, so that you can see, what we're doing is legit, not artificially generated. It's definitely done by hand, warts and all. Um, that is what it is. I just introduced myself, and I want to thank you for coming in. We're probably going to be doing an extra long podcast today. I'm hoping to do a 3 hour one to make up for some lost time. Uh, and if you've tuned into multiple podcasts today, thank you for being here with me as we've tried to get some of the things working the way that they should be working. Um, we have you know just me in the studio, and by studio, of course, I mean my studio apartment, where we at. So. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to be working on the Cox in Space the animation. If you want to find out more about what we do and what is happening with all of this, do go check out coxinspace.com. You will find all the stuff that we have done so far, the illustrations that we've worked on over the last year, and of course the animation I'm working on currently, side projects from Wigwags, such as the novel She Came From Nowhere, the Christmas project that we did, we revamped this year with all the new voices, so check that out. That is called A Christmas Atom. Soon to be a Christmas classic coming to a theater near you. Um, I jest, of course. Hopefully, people will see that and love that. It's just the first act of a Christmas show, but got a lot of heart. Um, so today we're going to be doing an extra long episode because what I realized uh, in the last couple of days, it was my birthday, and I took some time off to not really do anything. I decided to just, relax and bed rot for a couple of days. It was really only 24 hours, but I worked the day of my birthday, as you do in a capitalist system, and then I came home and had the evening, and then I took the next day, and by about yesterday evening, I was pretty much good with that. But I realized that the animation that we're looking at here should run like this. What you're seeing happening right now, um, where she actually approaches the Cox brothers, and we have set up with this one cat where we spend time looking at her and the fat cats that exist on the beach before we ever get to the Cox and the revealing of the Pecker. Um, so the Pecker, of course, is their ship, and it's there in the background, and you know, right now as it is, it's this brief introduction where we watch him. He makes this comment. The ship's revealed that it's there, and then she walks across and reveals the cats. It wasn't really working. There's something I was really unhappy about with it, and then I realized it's because what I wanted was this. I wanted her to come in, kind of introduce the cats, introduce herself, because she's the character that's going to carry us on into the next shot. So it is fun to have that happen, and we'll make that happen that way. Um, so, and also, of course, working on the parallax of this shot so that the beach moves with the waves at a different speed. There's going to be more depth of field that has to be done so that the cats, it might work. It might not be as bad as I think it is. So the cats appear. But one of the problems I'm running into now is, so I flipped the cat around in one of these previous takes today, before I had to end the live stream, and so she's going the right direction now, but it starts in the back of the clip. So what I'm going to do is just one of these guys. One of the things that is important for me, for you guys to see, is that you get to capture the process, right? Um, it. I think for a lot of young artists, it can be difficult to work on the process because I forget who said it, so I'm not going to try to tell you who I think said it. Maybe Ira Glass? Dang. I think it came out of nowhere. Um, but I think it is Ira Glass. So if you guys are wondering, you can look up the quote. You can comment below if I'm incorrect. That's okay. But one of the thoughts that they said was, and this stuck with me for a really long time. I think I was like 19 or so when I first read this. I'd first gotten to Chicago at that time to study improv, and they had said that you know the reason that art is so difficult is not the task is difficult, but because artists who are making the art have such good taste, and because we have good taste about what we think is good and what we believe is quality. It often gets in the way of the creative process because when we make something, we recognize immediately that it's not good. That it's not doing what it's supposed to. Like no one immediately, or it's rare rather, to immediately carve the David, Michelangelo's David, or any of the masterpieces that he pulled off. What we often miss is the amount of process that it goes into it, the difficulty that it is to achieve a certain effect or to get things to happen the way that you want to. And so we think that since we haven't hit it on our first draft, that we're garbage people and that we'll never amount to the artists that we want to be, and that we're not good enough to do our art. A lot of artists, as they should, have imposter syndrome, where they don't believe that they should be qualified for the work that they're doing. And I say as they should, because no one really is qualified to make art, because there is no qualifications to that. You need to have an idea and then desire to express it clearly to your audience. That's the entire process that's required. Um, and so I think that for a lot of artists, that's where the struggle is at, is, this middle process of figuring out what works and what looks good and what doesn't. And so it can be quite a beat down from ourselves and the world at large, that, if we haven't done it well enough and on the first go or second go, that we should throw it away, we should give up, and we should never do it again. And I disagree. I'm from the school of improv. I learned how to improvise in Chicago, improv comedy, which is this idea that you step on stage without knowing what's about to happen, and then assuredly, self-assuredly, you present as if you do know what's going on. And so what that does is this beautiful thing that happens with improv that you see in all forms of art, but you get to see it very raw and in front of you on stage the moment it happens, is that you find out very quickly that things don't work out the way that you thought that they were. Somebody comes in with a different idea, you got a little excited and you spoke out of turn. You said something that was a little strange. Somebody throws you a curveball or twists your idea in a way that either they're intentionally trying to mess with you or unintentionally because they either didn't understand, or they had their own interpretation on it. And so you get thrown. It goes a little bit differently than you expected. And I think that for most people, it is easy to panic and want to throw in the towel and just kind of give up, or give in is the other thing. And with improv, it really taught me that just because something didn't go the way that you expected doesn't mean that there's anything wrong necessarily. It may be that it is actually showing you its own nature of what it is. And I think that I've heard that too with raising of kids, or any project, whether it's artistic or not, that things aren't going to go the way that you expect, not by any stretch of the imagination ever. And really, what that comes down to is, and this is no insult, but we're just not intelligent enough. We as human beings, no matter how smart we are just not intelligent enough to think of every opportunity or every situation that could possibly occur, every little bump, and the universe itself is so complex, and ideas are often so complex, that you can't possibly think of everything that could possibly happen. Masters get really good at knowing the things that could occur and then how to make that do what they want to. So that's one way of mastery. But then also, masters begin to understand that within the medium that they work in, that there's certain variables that will occur or may occur, and so they try to work those variables to their greatest favor, and turning out the thing in spite of all the difficulties. So for me, finding something that doesn't work is often a great gift, because it tells you what you want and what you want to do. And so when it finally clicked for me, I was like, oh, the reason that shot's not working for me is because she's walking the wrong way. We don't get this reveal. Because if you remember, this shot comes on the heels. This shot comes on the heels of the one that we've been working on. We had worked on for quite a bit of time. Let me pull it up so if you guys want to see it again. I'm sure you guys are like, we've seen it. We've seen it so many times. But it's a joy to look at and to watch. So I'm gonna play it again. Let me pull up here. I think it was called Zoomies. Because I'm dumb like that. I just like to be silly.
Cogs in space,
Not in your face,
spreading
spreading
happiness
happiness through the universe. Peter
and Richard
are here for you. At last, it's Cogs in space.
Right, so that's the segue into what we're doing now. And so it does that, it plays through, and then we get to cut into this shot. And so, I was like, so we watch the cat for a little bit, it reveals the cocks, they get to say their line. But what if now instead we get to see initially this calm, this cat just crossing the foreground. We saw all these fat cats in the background. And because we really wanted to get them cut to, it cuts to the focus that she's this fat cat, and then she's the one who reveals, the pecker's there, and the two Cox brothers are there. Here we're gonna have them cross. I'm gonna have Richard's head turn, and then say his line as she leaves the frame, and then we get that nice little segue. And so, because it's gonna segue into this next shot, which is here. Let me pull up for you. I'm really excited to do this next shot for the one effect we're about to see. I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but we'll see what that is. Let's go here. We'll go. I think it says maybe the next one. Nope. Go up one more here, which is here. So the shot that we're about to cut into is this shot, which I'm excited about, of them seeing the same cat on the beach here. And so they confront that cat. I'll probably flip this shot too, given just the way that it is, so that she'll be on the left-hand side here. I don't know. Maybe I can point up to the correct spot. I don't know. Hopefully that worked out. And then we'll get we'll get that this little shot here of the emanation coming off of his gun, his O-ray. We get the city in the background. Look at these clouds moving and whatnot. We're a little ways away from that, but this might work for him to turn. I might use this in the previous shot of him turning so we can see the front of his suit too. But as for right now, now it works that we get this long reveal, which I'm pretty, even in the rough right now, I'm more happy with it than I was. So let me do this. Now for some reason, if I remember correctly, this wasn't updating the way it was supposed to. Okay, it is starting to do that. Because the pecker also was not getting the thing taken off of it that I was hoping. And I wonder if that's because, is there a second pecker on this background maybe? No, it's definitely there on layer 4. You see how it's got this like nub on the front? I'm pretty sure I edited that nub out of the front here. Pretty sure, because it doesn't look like it's there at all now. And so I'm curious as to why it's still there. Let me do this just to see if I can't see something that I'm not seeing because of that the the clear, where it's saying that that space is empty. Um, no, hmm. Um, yeah, see, that's got all this like mess on the front of the ship. Shouldn't have that. It's definitely not showing up in this one though. Um, so yes, I'm not sure why it's happening like that. I am going to clean it up a little bit more. Whoops. So that it doesn't show up like that. And you know, uh, anyway. So that long rant, that bit of conversation was just the reason that I'm doing this as a live stream is just so that you can see the process. If you're coming in, after the show is made, and you're like, how do they do those things? Was it all come together as one shot? Um, Basically an encouragement. You don't have to run to an artificial intelligence to make art. And actually, the joy of making art is you're going to lose the joy of making art if you do that. Um, to do that to yourself means that you miss out on all the little choices that you get to make along the line. And choices are the whole thing that makes life fun, y'all. It's where we feel like we have no choice in the matter that makes us feel powerless to in our world, and it is what often leads to depression and anxiety. Is this idea that everything is beyond our control, and we have nothing to give and nothing to offer. Um, and I think that making art for one, especially something that we love, it's important for that. It's important because it shows us that the choices that we make do matter. They really do. Um, that little projects like these for ourselves that we get to reassert who it is that we are and what we do. Um, and so. Um, I would just encourage everyone who is kind of like deals with that temptation of, I could have an AI do this for me faster. Um, yeah, it's true to a certain extent, and I think that you're gonna create a lot of work that you're like, yeah, that's fine, but like, what did I do at the end of the day? Like, um, it's ultimately going to be unsatisfying to you because the act of creation is such a joy. Um, and I don't say that lightly. I think it's a tough question for everybody these days. Sometimes there's such a push just to get stuff done, to create a product in capitalism, to increase shareholder value, and prove that we're not a failure. That we miss the great things that it is about being human. And one of those things, I believe that the one thing that really does make us human is the ability to intentionally create things. And so when you let a tech bro try to take that away from you and try to sell you old creativity as new creativity, I think that people are gonna lose. The people who do that lose the actual joy of the experience of doing it. Um, and so, um, people can have all sorts of arguments for and against artificial intelligence. We know that they are really bad for the environment. We know that artificial intelligence is being used specifically for an unjust end, which is surveillance of the people that the state doesn't like, or that they believe to be a threat or whatever, which is an abuse of power. And people say, yeah, it keeps us safer, but I don't know if escalation of forces ever really kept us safer. The removal of inequality always has. When you make people not have to exist in poverty, they will generally behave better. When you make sure that people don't get abused, by their systems, by their parents, by their governments, is when you don't get killers, you don't get bloodthirsty and greedy people. When you show people that they're cared for and that they're loved is when you get to see the real good of humanity, for sure. And so I think that those are some very viable solutions to the modern ills of life, because it focuses on the real problem, which is humans in the state that we have gotten ourselves into societally feel very demoralized, and that they don't matter because the corporations just see us as paychecks to them, and the government sees us as fodder for their purposes, and so it makes the individual feel like they don't matter at all. Um, there's an easy solution. I don't know if it's easy, but there's to me, a clear solution, which is empower the people to make choices that affect their lives, and allow them to keep doing it. I believe things like a co-centric governance, which is different than democracy in one major way, that it gives everybody a voice instead of just elected officials who have their own platforms and agendas. It gives them the ability to participate in their government. I think that everybody should be required by law to participate in their government and paid as such as part of their jobs to participate in government. Just voting within the groups of 10 in their local area, participating in allowing them to participate in the groups of 100 and 1,000 and 1,000,000, so that it's all centered around what's happening to you locally, so you can empower the people. Now, people who are in power hate this idea very much, with obvious reasons, and that is because it takes away the power from the ones who feel that they should have the power, and that's the oligarchs of all sorts. The ones with money, the ones who believe that they have all the answers, and mostly either that money was handed to them through by being born to a specific family, or it was obtained through massive amounts of greed. And so, of course, they want to hold on to their power because if they let it go, they'd have to be treated like everybody else. And that nothing makes a person more upset than to be asked to be treated like everybody else. Um, and I'm sorry to hurt your feelings if you feel that you're a person who should be treated better than other people for whatever reason. That's just simply not true. No, everybody is equal on this planet, by the simple nature of being born as a part of the human race. I don't think that that's a radical stance to take, but apparently for some people it is. So um, put that in your pipe and smoke it, I guess. Muse on that all you want. You're welcome to comment below if you want to have that out in the comments. I will be looking at those. I may or may not respond to them, depending on how if the argument seems logical or not. But but yeah, please, if you guys want to have that conversation in the comments, you absolutely can. Please be kind to one another. Know that the person that you're talking to, it likely is another person on the other side of the screen. It may be a bot, but there's no reason to treat bots badly either, seeing as they might be the ones who are running everything soon. Um, so. I should also mention that if you would like to be on this podcast with me, this live stream with me, you can always do that. You can go to the Discord that we have set up. Go to coxandspace.com. Shoot. Go to coxandspace.com. There's the Discord link on the bottom. That will give you an invite to our server. And then you can just get up on the server. You'll see that I'm up in the general chat, and it's open to anybody who comes by. And you can come hang out with me there. I would love to talk with you about things, your life, what you got going on, ideas you have. The only thing that I ask is when you come on, please just have general courtesy. Um, I don't think that's hard to extend to people. One of the Although I might be wrong, and I'll get into that in a second, but I think that yeah, if you just have the general courtesy of respectfully listening to the conversation, seeking to know versus teach, which is such a pain, um, or to like if you're just trying to be heard, um, there's other platforms for you to do that if you want to. I think that you'll find pretty quick once we have a conversation that I'm a type of person who asks a lot of questions, who wants to find out more about your situation and life story and history. And so, I very much dig fellow humans. I think that humans are some of the most interesting things that have happened in creation, mainly because of their complexity. Humans have the ability to express their rich inner worlds, and every single one of us is our own universe of experiences and thoughts. And so I'm very much interested in people. If that's the type of conversation that you're interested in having, I'm interested in talking to you. Um, Again, if you're getting on for any other reason to, I don't know, prove a point or to have an argument, I'm just I don't really have time for it, to be honest. And that's so I don't have time for you, but um, I just turned 42 a couple of days ago. Happy birthday to me. Um, and you know, the older I get, because there was a time, like there definitely was a time like I enjoyed arguing with people more. Um, I enjoyed getting riled up and trying to prove points and whatnot. But I'm falling more and more into the Keanu Reeves kind of mentality, I believe. Um, of if somebody wants to say that 2 plus 2 equals 5 because blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, that's not true, and they're like, no, but it is because I'm like, at that point I'm like, I don't even want to be having this conversation right now. Like it just doesn't make any sense, and we've had a back and forth about it, and it seems like you just want to hold on to your own point of view. That's fine, you can do it. I'm not going to stop you. Like, it's not my responsibility to teach you how to be a good person or to be respectful, or point out all your logical flaws. um, I will have that conversation with you. Be like, well, we know that if you take certain quantities and you put them together, especially in abstracts like numbers, that it's you're not going to come up with that solution, and holding on to that point of view is ultimately going to be destructive to you. I will likely let you know that sort of thing, and then if I feel like that's I've done my bit as far as like trying to help you understand the world a little bit better. Or alternate perspectives, and see an alternate perspective, and it's not going anywhere, then at that point it'll be like, meh, you know but yeah, again, if you're the type of person who likes to know of other people, and hear what's going on with them, yeah, absolutely, let's have a conversation. You're welcome to come on board. um I am not everybody's cup of tea. You probably have surmised that. um and I don't know why it keeps shocking me that this is the case. It's happened again recently to me. I get myself into communities for a variety of different reasons. One of the ones I was in recently, I was in a rehab facility for a better part of a decade, um, and it was a religious one, and uh, I really thought that was going to be like the place that I stayed for a long, long time. Um, because I felt like I understood what was happening there, and I understood she needs to flip around. Yeah, that's a weird way to. Hmm. Yeah. I think I felt like I understood what's going on there. I understood what the people were. I understood what our mission was, which was to help people. And after some time, I found out that I wasn't really a member of that community, because they easily took offense to who I was, uh, and what I was saying, which was really just, if you want to know the truth, it was really, I just wanted to have unification between the different groups of the religion, which is not something that the other members wanted, because it made some people feel like, if other people were correct and they disagreed about that, who was correct, then they were wrong somehow, instead of understanding that it was, it is, religion is a complex, um, how do you say, the interpretation of old ancient texts can be a little bit more nuanced, and so there is some room for interpretation, and maybe not everything is as cut and dry as people would like it to be, which is tough. It's tough when you want to be right about something, to believe that maybe there's more nuance and gray area. I am a Gemini. If you guys are working out, my birthday happened in June, um, and so I do really see things in terms of more gray as opposed to black and white. I feel like there is a lot of nuance to a lot of ideas. Um, and so to say that something is maybe a little bit more complicated than we are giving it credit for, I don't think is anything crazy to say. But for some, that is a crazy statement to make, um, as they would like, especially people who like to be right. And so it is hard for people who like to be right. What I do find is that it's hard for me to let people who are narcissistic, or histrionic, who have, their own point of view and they cannot be wrong in any capacity. It's hard for me to be around that type of people, and not because I reject them, but only because, I see things in such terms of like gray, that asking questions like, is that true? Is that actually true? Can be something for them that really, really messes up their world. Um, Simply the doubt itself can make them feel insecure. And so, for me, like, I don't try to make people feel insecure, but just asking the question, how do you know that to be true, when they don't have necessarily an answer for that? Just it is because I say it is, I'm like, well, you know, that's nice to say things like that, but you know, how do you know? How do you know a thing to be true? Um, I'd probably run into the same trap myself. There's things that I like to believe, that that's despite all evidence. Like, there's some things I just feel to be true, um, and that's not a great thing on my part. I don't. I'm not. Dang, I really want this to look cool, and there's so much going on in this shot. This is very difficult for me. I understand why 3D rendering something is much more preferred, um, simply for the fact that, um, if I had this set up as there's a beach right here and there's water back there and there's a certain distance, and you're going to set your camera there and follow the action, it's going to do parallax for you. Um, Parallax, of course, is things in the foreground move faster than things in the distance, because of physics. I don't know, but it's one of those things that, I learned from Walt Disney, actually, from the early, watching how they did the early animation, and that was one of the things that they were really well known for, is that they made the camera look realistic, and what they did was they just did multiple plates of glass and then filmed that, so they ended up getting parallax. Um, so it gives it, that extra realism. Um, so it's a cartoon. It's a rough of a cartoon also. I mean, these are the things. What I'm basically doing now, there's a word for it. If you guys know what it is, you can comment below. But it's like, animatics is what I'm working on right now. This and this might be the final product. We don't know, where Cox and Space is ending up ultimately at this point. If you are interested, you can contact us through coxandspace.com, coxinspace.com, and reach out to us, if you're interested in being a producer, getting this to a larger audience, like that sort of thing. But these are just to show what it sounds like, what it looks like, the style, the acting, the music, all that sort of stuff. And so, this I don't really see this as the final product, as much as it is like as close to the final product as we're getting right now. Um, and maybe it is. Maybe we're going to be in this 2D kind of, world, where it is these dolls basically that are interacting with each other. People are liking this style. Our co-producer Aaron Cosbio, one of the co-writers, the lore master, of the show, has mentioned that, he didn't really see what the style was until I started doing it, and now he's like, well, that's how Cox and Space looks. It's Jack's artwork, given motion. Um, and as far as that goes for me, it works. Like I'm kind of okay with what it looks like and how it is. I would love to do this in a 3D render personally, to do more of the things like you see on the later South Park episodes. Um, Interesting, that water is definitely out there. Um, the now I say later. Sorry, y'all. The later South Park episodes, because I was in middle school when that show first aired, and I remember the actual paper cut episodes that they were doing, um, and how different it became. I think it was in the 2010s maybe, um, when they switched over and they built 3D models so they could do you know like panoramic shots and stuff like that. They could do more motion with their characters. Um, Seeing Cartman's three-wheel bike turn for the first time in the opening sequence was, I mean, we were just like, whoa, that's cool. They're doing something, but still being that 2D render. Um, I mean, it's fun. They got to do it. So the 2D effect and the kind of the Hanna-Barbera, Monty Python animation style, it works for this show. But things like this, like obviously there's a lot that I have to do to get that parallax to work in the background. I'm still working towards it. That's what we're going to be doing with this. Um, I need to do things like these guys in the foreground need to move slightly faster than the pecker in the background, unless we want it to be, that's all one piece. And it really isn't. Um, this right here is probably working. This is the change of depth. Those should be a little bit different, in my opinion. That ship right there shouldn't grow quite as fast, I think, is the idea behind it. And I'm gonna have to play with it because one of the things, if you haven't noticed, or if I haven't mentioned it in this episode, I'm not an animator. This is not my forte. I am learning this as we go, because it needed to exist, in my opinion. So because it needed to exist, and we didn't have somebody to do it who was willing to put in the time to do it, you got me. You got me doing it. So. I'm glad to be here. I'm a big fan of the show, and that's why I'm doing basically fan edits of this show. So that's what we've got. Jack is a good friend of mine from Chicago. I met him 15 years ago as we were working on another project altogether, which had him illustrating for that, and you know. To me, like his artwork is so fun, and I feel like it does, like I really want the Cox in Space motif. I really want it to, like, the Cox in Space style to his style to be represented in Cox in Space. Is what I'm trying to get at. And so. Yeah, like that's why I was like, we're gonna cut up his pictures and we're gonna make those move. We're not translating them into something else because I just don't want to lose his style. I knew that I couldn't, as an animator, try to create 3D renders that were sufficient enough to get the type of thing that I was wanting to get from him. Excuse me. Um, oh goodness. So yeah, this will probably be the style that it's in, and as it moves along, we'll probably be building models that will again represent the same style. One of the things that he pointed out quite a bit, I think during the process, was how the level of detail that he puts on his work is very tough to animate because there's so many little intricate details that are on them. Um, and that is true. I believe that's true. I also believe that there are animators, and you guys please comment below, who know how to do this like comic booky kind of shading and stuff like that. Um, there's a word for that. But I'm spacing on that. But like to get it to look like this and can do it in 3D, and the 3D render. So um, I do have hopes that we will. I have high hopes for the things that we have that are possible. All right. One of the things I'm gonna do with this beach. there's two things I want to do. I really want to focus on how it's moving right now so that it works properly. I need the sky to move appropriately also. Um, so I'm gonna try to get those to work together. I think that I need to patch it in more so I have more depth. Also, I think I need the water to be less what it is. I think that I've made the ocean too big and it's kind of that's why it's getting all like blurry. That looks more right. Although, gosh. Uh, if y'all want to dog on me for my ability to create artwork here, absolutely do. You're more than welcome to. I recognize I'm not great at this. I'm not an illustrator. I'm not an animator. So patching some of this stuff in looks real rough. Absolutely does. Doing this animation in this style, absolutely it looks rough. Um, and so, just to comment on those is just to tell the truth. Um, Please, in all ways, the truth with kindness is definitely appreciated. Um, because that's how we can learn, right? There's no shame in doing something wrong, in my opinion, uh, unless you choose to continue to do it wrong. You know, in spite of all the evidence of that, of the errors that you're making, um, and to insist that you're doing it right. You know, I'm not in any way trying to insist that I'm doing this right. I am just trying to create something so that you can see what Coxet Space looks like at the end of the day. So, um, uh, one of the issues that I'm running into is very much how to do the thing that I'm trying to do. Um, because for me, just even thinking about the process uh, is the difficulty for me. Nope. Because I don't. That table is huge. Wonder why I made it that big. Okay. That's a little bit close to the right size. Man, that was really big. Um, like haven't had somebody to talk about this stuff with and work on it with. So it really is just going with what I know as far as aesthetics and how that's done. Um, how the creative process works and how you make things become real. And then what brief things I've learned through talking with other people, through experimentation, through what I've seen, documentaries and whatnot of people's processes. So that is what I've got available to me, and that's the best that I can. That's what I can give you. So um, with anything like that you're learning the process too. If you're coming in, you might be looking at this animation to be like, well, how do I do such and such, and, whatever that thing is, um, and you're coming here to figure out how to do that. Cool. you know I'm hoping that this does help you see. Oh, that's kind of working. It's moving a little bit fast, but that's kind of working. Interesting. So if I add more sky, then why is it so low, I wonder? And why is it rising up? There. Is there something I don't know about this? I thought I took this off. So I don't know about this. What then is moving? Okay. So that works like that. Is it just that it's not rendered yet? Because that, yeah, that shouldn't be moving in the background there. See how that the water and everything's going up at this point? That shouldn't be going up at that point. There's no. I'm just gonna give it a quick render. Maybe it's not recognizing. You know, there's a lot of things going on this layer, so maybe it's not recognizing. Why is that rising up like that? Okay. Is there something I'm missing here? Just so there's nothing on there. Nothing on there. This is the only one that should be moving, so that's the only one that's going to create that moving up look. Interestingly, it doesn't really do it there. Yeah. So yeah, this is you know, it's all a bit of a process, and that's true. That's true with all art. I think I do need it to move in slightly in tandem with that. Ooh, okay. One of the things I was hoping to do with some effects, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it's doing something like this, where this can do. Um, yeah, that's not quite right. Um, but something like I wanted the waves to roll, at least move. You know what I mean? Um, so that they have some motion. That's not bad. Um, just so that had something, you know, so it looks watery. There we go. That's a little bit more like what I'm hoping, but I want it to be in the other direction. So let's go like 160. There we go. So it's a little bit more like that. Um, Make it like half wavy. Still not moving towards the shore though. Um, do that. Really just having some motion is kind of the goal. Yeah, right there, kind of like that. And that's happening all in the background as she walks. And then I think what we need to see is, actually, I'm not sure. Many, many times, Ira Glass quote, right? Many, many times. I wish that I was much better at this than I am. But you know, it is what it is. Uh, I will only continue to get better at this the more that I work on it. I know that to be true, you know. So it doesn't bother me that as of now, I mean, it does bother me. It does bother me right now that I'm not great at it. I wish that I was showing you successfully each step and less experimentation, but um, I really do want to encourage you to everyone to just keep working at your thing, um, because it is a great joy to make something that you didn't think was going to work. And for me, one of the greatest joys is thinking that something's impossible only to find it is very possible. Or you got something that happened that you didn't think was possible. I'm gonna pull up real quick. You guys have probably seen it. I hope you've seen it. That's what we're listening to, by the way, if you're wondering. This right here, just so you can see this first trailer, in so many ways, I just didn't think was ever going to come together. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but
Warning, this video is not suitable for children or the workplace. Warning, this video is not suitable for children or the workplace. Warning, this video is not suitable for children or the workplace.
Captain's log, stardate 06969. We've just left the K9 cluster en route for Pussy Paradise.
I've scanned the entire region, Peter. I'm telling you, I can't find Pussy Paradise. The brochure says it should be right here.
Check again, Dick. We need to take this vacation so we don't break our code. Self-care is the only way to spread happiness across the universe.
Warning, suction detected at the head of the pecker. Warning, suction detected at the head of the pecker. Warning, suction detected at the head of the pecker. Warning, suction detected at the head of the pecker.
What is that monstrosity?
Well, Peter, we're hovering over the major and minor folds of a gravity well, and Pussy Paradise is hidden within it.
The mystery must be penetrated. Full thrust!
all right. So I'm seeing so many little errors in that, things that I would want to clean up and fix. I've seen it a bunch of times. I just haven't seen it in a while. So it is interesting that is the case. You can check that out there if you want to. But I just, in so many ways, I did not think that was ever going to happen. I just didn't know how we were going to make that work. And you know what? It works. It works. It's telling the story of Cox in Space. There are little errors in it. There is, you can tell it's been cut out and stuff like that. And so, for me, that's one of those things. I'm like, do I want it to be perfect? Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely want it to be perfect. Do I have to accept my limitations as an animator in order to finish the project? I do. And I do. And that's one difference between, doing it and not doing it. Because I think that there's a lot of people. I would not be shocked at all in to find that a number of people have given up their projects, their dreams, their ambitious goals, because something is moving that is not supposed to be moving. Is there multiple layers here? There's not, right? That's the whole kit and caboodle. Okay, so it's definitely. Why is that rising up like that? See, the water's still rising somehow. Like you know, it's definitely not on this guy because that's just that. Uh, and there are only three active layers here. You know. Okay, it's really that the beach moves down that much for this shot, which is wild. I don't know why it moves down that much though, because she could really just go across. Hmm. Like it doesn't. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna fix that. I think I see where the problem's at. All right. 695. All right, let's just see if we can't. I don't know if I finished that last thought, but I wouldn't be at the least bit surprised to find out people have given up on their projects, um, because it didn't match their expectations. Um, and you know what? I think Jack is the one who said it, and I kind of resented him when he did say it. But I do understand the logic now. I've grown a bit since I heard him first say that. Um, Say this, and that's that. When you're making art, you have to come to a certain degree of, you have to like settle with it being imperfect in certain ways. We're humans. We're in a fractal universe. So that's to say that things are inherently broken in it, and they're gonna be that way. It's just the nature of the beast. The thing. Wow, that really does. So, geez, I think I made it worse. Yeah, because it's right there too. Um, that's not to excuse bad art, poorly executed art. Because there are a lot of people who will use that as an excuse that they don't have to do a good job, because things are going to be inherently broken. And I would say that what I've said does not excuse that. You trying to do your absolute best. You are required, uh, as the artist, to do your absolute best out of respect for your audience, for the person you're doing it to, for, uh, and so that they can see, clearly your vision. Um, but in that, you have to understand that there will be flaws, that it won't be exactly what you wanted, but the goal is to push it as close as you can to perfection until it does the thing that you want it to do. It tells the story, it gets the idea across, and then in that, you've made something, right? Um, what was it? The scaling? No, it's that position. So a certain level of imperfection is gonna happen. That's a given. Um, I was messing with the wrong thing. But that it has to continue to, it needs to be internally, it has to have its own internal logic. And sometimes that imperfection is part of the internal logic for sure. Um, yeah, it's the size, it's the scaling bit. I kind of want to do something radical here. I kind of want her to turn around so she walks away from us and then she turns and walks to the left. But that's going to take quite a bit to make that happen because I have to recreate all of her fur and everything from the back, um, which is doable because she is just a silhouette. But hmm, man, that is really that's really a thing. So what I'm looking for, is some sort of compromise, right? I'm trying to make sure that it's doing the thing that I want it to, and it is to a certain extent, but it's not in other ways. So um, hopefully, and this is just hoping, but um, one of the things I like about Photopea that Premiere doesn't have is the list of actions that just were taken, so you can understand what you are undoing. This has just the undo options on it. So, ugh, jeez. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna go 3 hours. I'm like, I don't know if I can stay focused for that long. This is really difficult for me because it is all learning and new. And so, one of the things I learned about recently is there's this thing that with an ADD brain, and I don't know what part of the spectrum I'm on. I know that I feel like I do have attention deficit. I have like manic and swings and depressive swings. Um, it's like extreme ups and downs. So like that's part of like that. I get overstimulated a lot. I go through phases of wanting to talk to everybody about everything and not wanting to talk to anybody about anything. So I don't know. My brain has a lot of chemistry going on the inside. But one of the things that somebody noted was that this idea that you can be so overstimulated that you feel the desire to sleep, just because your brain's like, I can't, I need to take a break. Um, and so I feel like that's what's happening now because I'm thinking too many thoughts about all the things, right? So let me give you this. We might do a second podcast here. I'm gonna give you that. We'll be around for at least another 20 minutes or so, working on this, and then I might take a break because I gotta pee, and then come back, and then and that sort of stuff, you know. But um, thank you for being here with me today as we do this. Again, this is really to show you, the fan, if you're asking the question, did they work on it? Did they do the work? Yeah, yeah, we did the work. It wasn't great, you know. I definitely messed around a lot to get things to work. I didn't do it as it's only professional if you're looking at the fact that we get paid at the end of this, then it is professional work because it would be our profession. It'd be my profession at that point. Um, and not in the this the person is lauded with their degrees and stuff type of professional. But I think that there's a lot of people in the creative fields. That's what they did. They just kept doing it until it was no longer they were no longer faking it. They actually had made it. So you know, I take great faith in that's a thing that will be the case. Eventually, I'll know how to do all this stuff, all the things I want to do, and I'll continue to learn more, and it'll continue to be the product that I want it to be. I'll keep getting it closer to that goal. And I hope that for you too, that you decide not to give up on whatever your project is that you're working on. You decide not to give up. One thing I do want to do, because I saw this and it is really bugging me, is to fix this, because I just saw this on the close, that these are not lined up the way that they're supposed to be. Here, like that little glitch right there, and then there's something else I saw that I was like, oh wait, that umbrella isn't lined up the way it's supposed to be. Although it looks like that's the only thing there. I do want to get her stretch in here, so eventually I'm gonna have to patch that whole thing there. This pecker there needs to be something. The way that it moves right now in the background of this needs to change. So eventually I'll need to get that patched in there. But those are little things that as we get there, I'll get there. Some people get so caught up on if it's not perfect, I'm not gonna release it to the world. And I think that that's you do yourself a disservice. I think you do yourself a disservice, and your fans. You know what I mean? If it's not perfect, it's not it ain't shit. That mentality is it's a hard one for you to even deal with, because then you're constantly you're trying to find you're trying to find something that doesn't exist. You can't be perfect. You cannot be perfect. And I'm sorry if that's shocking and dismaying to you. But you're a human being. You live in a broken world. So it's a strong. It's too heavy a burden to put on yourself to strive for perfection. There is something to be said of just like do it until it's done, and then when it's done, take a break, and just enjoy the fruits of your labor. So. It's that jump up at the end that really gets me. Like that right there, that rise right there. I need to know why it's doing that. Maybe it is that scaling. Maybe it's just the scaling. But that doesn't make sense either. Okay, so we're looking at. See, the thing is, I'm almost tempted to redo it, but it's just such a pain to get that to sync up again. Although I guess it's not. I think I'm gonna hate it either way. Because what I want to walk to there. Okay, I'm gonna redo it. I'm just gonna redo it so it looks the way that I want it to, because it is really bothering me right now. We're gonna leave it at that scale in that position. I'm just gonna work back. We're gonna watch her walk across. Oh. Okay, it's right about there. We're gonna mark that. And then she walks until she comes into focus, and then she's gonna start to shrink. Right before she starts to shrink is when we want this to be here. I'm not sure why it's not. I want this to be straight there, like that. And this is where she moves like this. All right. And then for this, the end result is she walks off the frame there. So by the time she gets there, we actually want her to be here. About oh, but the thing isn't growing in the background. I was trying to get them to grow in the background too. I got you. That's not bad. Oh, but it is that position change. I got you. So we need the water to go up. Okay, we do want them to scale up a little bit too. Okay, so the scale here. I'm not sure why this is occurring to me, but one of my favorite things as a kid, when we had freedom, the freedom to do, was I loved to. There was the shop downtown. That they had these handmade soaps, and we used to go in and smell all the soaps that they had handmade. And I still do that now. I'll go into like a Walmart and smell all the like candle waxes that they have, smell all the candles. And just what a fun memory that was. I guess I'm just sort of like zoning out a little bit, right? And just kind of idly thinking about stuff. But yeah, one of my favorite memories as a kid was seeing these like hand cut, handcrafted soaps and down in this downtown shop. It doesn't look too bad. I kind of like that. um, and no smell in particular was coming to me on that. I just um, just the idea of smelling those soaps. It's working. It might need to be a little bit fast. The movement needs to be a little bit faster. Though I like that. I'm liking the way that that's looking. It's a little bit more subtle. Um, One of the things is a 20-second shot, and so I'm really trying to make it worth all those 20 seconds. Um, so one of the things is I do want to. She's really close to the camera, which is fine. And then she crosses so that we see the pecker, and then does this like full zoom for the pecker so you can see it, and then she walks towards them. I think that's fine. I think it's working. Um, I think what I'm gonna have happen is have that beach move just a hair quicker. I think that um, by the time she gets here, I want this position. Nice, that's exactly where I wanted it. I just want it to be more. Let me make sure that I've got that more this way. So she's kind of like there. Let's see if that makes it look a little bit faster. Yeah, kind of her like ambling down the beach. You see those fat cats in the background. Um, cool, and we get the head turn there. Like the way that the pecker's revealed, that is fun. Seeing the cats. Um, Now, so I asked Jack to do fat cats, and yeah, that was really what I wanted from him, and he did, slightly overweight cats, um, but it is it is what it is. Um, all right, so. We need the beach and sky. We need the ocean to be moving along with her to a certain degree. Because I just the water needs to be even. You know what I mean? It needs to not rise. So we need. That's where it happens. One of the things too that I've been finding out, of course, with animation is just, as you would expect, it's just so meticulous. You look at little frames, one little frame at a time, and be like, how do I make these little frames do the things that I want? Um, so maybe that's a scaling thing. Looks like it's a scaling thing. Mm. Can I be real with you guys? I think I've shared this before, but this is where my mind is kind of wandering as I'm working on this meticulous thing. Just thinking about, I'm not trying to be too specific and to call anybody out, but recently, I've been dealing with the loss of friends, and um, you know, it hurts. It really hurts my heart a lot. That because people that I care about, I care very deeply for, and I wish that the people that are that I can't be friends with right now, that I could be, um, and so I was kind of just mulling over, um, um, like once I get done, like I want to call them up and I want to say like, hey, what are you doing? You want to hang out? Um, and just remembering that I can't do that with those friends. And that just it makes me sad to that's the case. Uh, the friends that are in question are ones that um, they got insulted, um, or started to uh, they demand certain, the things that had to be their way, um, and or that I had to perform specific tasks for them in specific ways, and I had to be like, yeah, that's not fair as a friend, to do that. Um, and it was like, hey, we're cool to hang out. Uh, we're cool to hang out if when we just accept each other as we are, where we are. Um, because I'm not out to get anybody, or cause anybody pain. Um, but this particular friend was very much insistent that everything that I was doing was a deliberate attack on them. Um, and so, n- then it became this like, you know, tiptoeing around and dancing around this constant like, um, being insulted over nothing, over nothing. Um, and it does just make me sad, um, because from their perspective, they would say there's all these things, and that were happening, and I would just laugh and be like, that's not true at all. But since they're so wrapped up in their own perspective, um, it felt true to them. And so, you know, at one point, there's nothing you can do, if two people aren't sharing the same reality. Um, so, you know, uh, the friends that I have that I cherish are the ones that, um, when something comes up, we quickly try to resolve it. You know, um, there's no major beef that any of us can possibly have with each other because we all care deeply for each other and look out for one another. Um, and so, um, and so that's the shit's rising still. It's because it's scaling. I don't like it. I don't like what I've done at all. All right, let me see if I can make this happen. Let me see if I can do it like this. Here. And hopefully that won't look too bad over here. And so, when there are people who, I don't know, there's a type of person who, gets power from, claiming that they're hurt, when there is no hurt, getting offended when there is no offense, as a way to control the situation. Um, I'd never really run into this type of person, although I think I have, but I just generally avoided them. But I never really counted them as friends. And so this is a unique, situation in that, damn it, now it's not lining up with the shoreline. Where I cared very deeply for this person very quickly, since, I had, spent time with them, and really got to know them and understood their pain and their perspective and point of view, and didn't, in no way desire to hurt them. And, they were so willing to be hurt by everything because it's what had become their identity, that it became impossible to spend time with them. Um, and impossible in that, I tried. I tried very much, and um, to understand, to, help bring clarity, to point out that the pain that they were experiencing was not from me, but from past wounds, that they were still holding on to. I'd studied Osho Zen for a while, um, because I'd used his tarot deck, um, and so um, a lot of influences that I have come from that. I know Osho has been proven to not be a great person, I believe. That might not be true. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But from what I understand, he has. I think there was a cult that he was a part of and formed, and he was actually running a grift or something like that, which so many spiritual leaders in a capitalist society have done. So it's not even particular to that guy. Um, but one of the things that from his tarot deck, there's this one character who is wearing this armor that's rigged with explosives, so that the moment you bump into them, it explodes. And the armor is to protect them because they've been hurt so much. But the explosives, they don't realize that the explosives are there, and they explode on everybody. Um, and so, running into a person like this, like I could clearly see that it was coming from their pain, and it was coming from the old wounds and hurts, um, but they wanted to insist that those old wounds and hurts were my responsibility somehow, and I don't know if you know this or not, person who's listening, any person who's listening, honestly. But you're not responsible for other people's pain, unless you're directly causing it, right? If you're the one who's directly causing it, you should do something about that. But old wounds and hurts, as much as you try to fix and change those things for that person, you never can. It's a shame. I wish that wasn't true. I wish that you could, step into somebody's brain and really fix that, for them. Um, but the sad fact of the matter is that you can't. It's just not possible to fix somebody else's pain for them. A person can only heal themselves, by coming to understand where the pain comes from, letting the injury go, and recognizing either that they're forgiven for their choices, for their mistakes, or forgiving the person who hurt them. And that is way easier said than done. As a person who has experienced pain from people, and oh, that's not gonna work like that. Who has experienced pain from people and has made a lot of mistakes personally. um, that there's a certain amount that you can't fix or change. Um, but the recognition that the past is the past, that all the events that occurred have occurred, and there's nothing you can do about it. The future hasn't been written yet, and so we can't have any anxiety about it because we just don't know what will occur, as much as we have a central nervous system that kind of like predicts what could occur. And so there's a certain time where you have to just kind of be like, well, all these things have occurred, but that being the case, I'm going to do the best that I can now, be the best that I am now, and just accept the situation as it is now, the people that I'm around, and that sort of thing. And that's how it kind of gets you out of this mindset, that this hurt that I'm carrying around is somebody else's responsibility, is because it's not. It's on the person to do that work for themselves, to accept the situation as it is, whether or not they like it, to accept that they've made mistakes, whether or not they like it, and that's a, like, healthy relationship. To be in healthy relationships, like that's kind of like where you have to be at. That, like, what I've experienced is not the fault of the person that I'm with. The things that trigger me are inherent and known only to me, and it's my responsibility to make sure that doesn't affect other people, right? Like, it's not fair for me to explode on somebody at work or at the store, because I've been hurt in the past. That's not their responsibility. They just met you. How could it be their responsibility? It's not their responsibility to try to tiptoe around these hurts that you've had. How could it be? Weren't there when it happened. They don't know you from anybody. It's really on us to fix and change that for ourselves if we want to live at peace with everybody. Um, and so. Um, and people who don't, that's a very hard thing. Like this whole thing was started by me saying, I really wish I could hang out with this person. I really wish that we could spend time together. Um, but because they have so much hurt that they want to be my responsibility, where I can't do anything about it, becomes a problem, an insurmountable problem, right? Um, Now I get it, like we all have baggage, we all have shit that we go through, and stuff comes up, especially when you're close with somebody, spend a lot of time with them, you're part of their life, you see them on a regular basis, you're working together on stuff like that stuff's gonna come up, but it's always the responsibility of the person who's having the reaction to deal with the reaction. If I'm triggered by you or somebody, that's on me to fix, because I recognize that I'm the only person who's capable of knowing where that reaction came from, because I was the only person who experienced it. Um, and so I don't know. I've heard that some people feel that that's a very like harsh stance. That it sounds as if I don't care about the person's pain. Um, anybody's pain, because it's not the first time I've run into that. That somebody wanted me to be the one that fixed their pain for them, because they were experiencing it because of actions that I took. Um, Not deliberate ones. If it's a deliberate action, like I did something that hurt somebody, it is on me to do something about that. If I'm the one who's taking the deliberate action to hurt somebody, it is on me to fix that, to apologize, and to try to make amends if possible. Um, but to simply say that because you're having a reaction, it needs to be like validated in some way, or it has to be like I don't know. That it's my responsibility to change the way that you feel about the world. I just can't. I mean, I can't, and nobody can do that for you. Um, and to insist otherwise, I think is a very it's dangerous, for one, because then it becomes your responsibility to handle anything that comes up for them, anything emotionally that comes up for them. And two, it's really childish, to do that, because to be honest, you and I, in our own lives, with our own pain, have a lot of shit that's happened to us. It's like, for me to insist that you need um, to fix or change me is to say that you somehow have your life all together, so much so that you don't have your own issues that you need to be working on and handling. Um, and so, in the case where somebody is being like that, to say that I'm supposed to be the one that solves their problems, I have to lovingly say no, actually, or to say that I'm the one who's supposed to not make them feel some kind of way. No, especially if I haven't done anything to like hurt that person. Um, and so, it's 2 cents for what it is. Again, there's this weird balance, right? Because I am an advocate for personal responsibility, um, which is that when I've done something, I've taken an action that has hurt somebody, it is on me to own it, to recognize it, and to do my best not to repeat it, right? Because I'm not a type of person who's trying to hurt other people. That's weird. Why is it behaving like that? Oh, you know what? This all needs to go up. Do not like it. No, not a little bit. All right, so I'm going to just scoot all this up so we get more of that nuanced sky that I want. Perfect. So there's that, and then there's the other, which and this is the thing that I'm talking about. But there is so much pain in people. It exists, and most of it comes from a lot of situations that had nothing to do with me. People will, in the common vernacular, I think they call it being triggered. And so while it's on me not to make fun of somebody or hurt somebody because of their deficit or whatever they've got going on, it's not on me to avoid every trigger that can hurt them, because because triggers are endless. Anyone could have any number of triggers for any number of reasons, and that's just not my responsibility. It's as a person to handle everyone's triggers. I try to be gentle and kind with people, recognizing that with things they are sensitive to those things and they do get hurt by them. I don't keep repeating it. I don't keep trying to. I don't keep pushing that button, right? But in the case that anything could trigger you, it becomes an exercise in futility. That anything can make you upset, and I have to do a tap dance because you're upset is a whole different can of worms. And I have run into people like that, and it seems like maybe this relates to the beginning. I think I was sharing that going through this tough time of interacting with people where I'm finding out that maybe we can't be friends like I was hoping because of circumstances and situations, and that's part of it. I think that for some people, they believe that in this time of being as sensitive to people as possible, that we should make every effort to do that. And I agree that we should make concessions for people who have a hard time with things, and then at the same time recognizing there's only so much that a person can do. The external circumstances can do, and when somebody is injured in some way, it is really on them to do as much as they can for themselves. It's a gray area, obviously, because what in some cases you're talking about is some people's disabilities, autism, for instance, or physical disabilities. To say that somebody needs to find a way to climb the stairs in their wheelchair and we shouldn't be making accommodations for that, I'm like, no, that's 100% not what I'm saying. Not at all. Like, absolutely, in any way that we can help people, we should be trying to help people, so that we can make their lives so that they can live in the society that we live in. I absolutely support that. But there are a number of people who have taken that a little far, and because they would prefer not to deal with their own pain, and they want to make that somebody else's situation to deal with, they'll do that, and I'm just like that's a little far. that goes a little far, and so I don't know. AITA, you know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments below. I'm willing to learn and to grow, and at the same time, like, there is something, as a person who is frustrated often with the way that society works, that is often frustrated by the way that my brain doesn't work the way that other people's do, and I don't get to hang out with people in the same way that they do because I see the world very differently than they do. I'm often overwhelmed by the amount of choices that we have. The rules as they exist are often frustrating to me because I don't understand the reason for them, and I can't make sense of the norms, societal norms. I'm not trying to be difficult. I am really, really trying to understand. I don't get it. And by the time I do get it, it's often too late. And so I do find that frustrating. But I don't think that that's anybody's fault or responsibility but my own. Again, some people might be hearing me say that in the case where somebody needs an emotional support animal, or somebody needs a ramp built so their wheelchair can access, public places. Um, that I'm saying that, that's on that person to have their own accommodations. And I don't believe that's true. But yeah, I'll probably dig myself into a deeper grave. What I'm saying is this: I'm not actually making a statement. If that helps anyone at all. What I am doing is trying to talk through more of my feelings on it, than to say that things should be one way or the other. I will say that, in the case of this friendship that I can't have right now with this person, that I was being accused of making them feel emotionally unsafe, like they couldn't, be who they were around me. And then I would say the same thing was true also, is that, having to take the blame for the things that had happened to them in their past, and that, that like that was suddenly became my responsibility, even though I'd only known them a few months. I'm like, that's not emotionally safe for me either, as a person who I've strove as a person to come to peace with the fact that things won't make sense to me, and that the world is going to be how it is. And so I try to maintain as much peace around me as possible, in order to not be in a place that I feel like lashing out, or overwhelmed. And so the reverse is true. The situation was that I was required to look after their emotional well-being, but they were not required. They weren't taking the responsibility of doing the reverse to me. And so, like, with the friendships that I do have, like, I had a disagreement with the Cox and Space team last night as we got together for a writing meeting, and I was airing the grievances that I had, where I was like, I'm really frustrated about this, that, and the other. But in that, I wasn't saying that it was their fault, and I was trying to make sure that I was saying that I wasn't saying that it was their fault, or that they had to do it, they were required to do anything. It was more that I was trying to work out loud what was frustrating me, and in that moment I couldn't put my finger on what that was, and I just needed to talk about it. And so, and like, I wasn't saying that, the frustration that I was having was their responsibility to do anything about it. I just needed to figure out where it was, which I think is absolutely fair in a relationship. But then at the same time, it's, what can you do? You cannot fix and heal everyone around you, as much as you would like to, as much as I would like to, and to just have an opinion, or just to be blamed for the past is it's not emotionally responsible. And so, to be in a constant state of anguish over anything that could be happening is not a fair thing to do to a person that you would call a friend, because it's not their responsibility to do that for you. It is yours. And it wasn't like it just came out the blue. I definitely tried to have multiple conversations about it, but it wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't being heard, or it was just perceived as more attacks on their person, which, again, if in the case where people like to, I am all for working with anybody who is able to recognize their responsibility, or their actions, and where they're at, and how they've done anything, and when it becomes that, there's nothing wrong with me and it's all you, is a part where I realize that, we're not actually on the same page at all, because a disagreement does take two people. Both people have to be, in some state of disagreement in order to be that way. So that's just logical. There's no. It's just, there's the facts. I don't know. You can't fight with somebody who doesn't want to fight. And so, as much as I was saying, yeah, I don't want to fight, this is not the thing that I need to to be a part of. It was definitely becoming my fight. Anyway, that is to say, I miss them, and I wish that we could hang out. That was what the whole point of that rant was. And yeah, I wish things were not the way that they are right now. I do wish them the best of luck in their endeavors, and hope that they get to find some peace with themselves, um, as it is, as it is. Um, but yeah, it is painful for me to not get to hang out with people that I like because of stupid disagreements, or being blamed for their emotional pain. You know. Um, I don't know. AITA, guys, comment below. Maybe, maybe, maybe. I'm willing to admit that, but but it is what it is. Um, we are coming up on 2 hours, so that's good. I am liking the way this looks a lot more, which is really cool. Let me do that little playthrough right there. I like the way the water's moving. I like how we're not quite focused on her. We're seeing all the cats. It does focus on her as she comes across the beach. The sky's looking pretty good. That looks a little bit weird, but I think it's part of the zoom here on this one too. So let's try to do this a little bit. Um, let's just zoom this out. How's that? Nope. Let's do it like that. And then we're gonna do this, like this. Hopefully that will help. So we see the beach, we see the kitties. Here she is, walking more in front of us, blah, blah, blah. More like that. She's walking closer to them. Okay, and there is something weird with the scaling there too. Not that one, not that one. It's this little in-between section here where it's not quite. Okay, I am liking that. Okay, I also want to make sure that we have some clouds maybe in the background. Jack's clouds are so cool, but it's gonna be a real pain to animate those the way that I want them to. We don't really need it with the texture that's happening in the background. There's quite a bit. There's a little bump right there in the way that it moves. So maybe, okay, maybe we can get this to work better if it's like this. So she's gonna do this walk along here. And then I'm moving towards that, which moves towards that. That's the final position here. Okay, so I think what it is here and then position here. Okay, so we want this to be more like this maybe. So maybe it's more like, maybe that's it. Okay. Maybe it looks more wonky now. I'm gonna do is just move this little one over just a little bit more, like that maybe. So she's like, bum, 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 bum. No, that definitely jumped too much. Uh, let's do this. You guys like the movie White Chicks? To speak of something completely different. Um, the Wayans Brothers movie White Chicks from, I think it's the early 2000s. I personally love that movie. I think it's so funny. I don't go for a lot of dumb comedies. I don't really like a whole lot of Wayans Brothers movies. So I don't know why that one in particular catches me so much. There is something about, huh, okay. There's something about they're playing against their race, which, in some cases people would consider that racist. Yeah, you can't walk all the way down like that now, can you? Okay, here is actually where we need to. There we go. Um, But yeah, no, and if you were doing it the other way, obviously it would be very racist, because that's more punching down. Because white people have privileges that black people don't have, or have historically, and then also with systemic racism, still do. But also, I don't feel like like they are being hateful towards white people in that movie as much as they're just presenting what a type of person is like, and what these rich white girls are like. And I think that for whether you're white, or black or Mexican or Chinese, it holds up. I mean, you're like, yeah, there are some rich white girls who do behave exactly like that, and so and I think that they're while they're playing a stereotype, they are playing characters that they know, so. Um, it's a tough call, right? What's the difference between racism and attribution, of certain characteristics to a group of people that do behave in a specific way? Is every white chick like that? No, but like, are white chicks who are in that environment, this very wealthy, environment, do they behave like that? I mean, yes, I have met them. Do they do just as good of a job, the Wayans brothers? Do they do just as good of a job of showing what some urban black people act like in, the movie I'm talking about? It's got a whole long title. When you're drinking the juice in the hood, who's Don't Be a Menace. Don't Be a Menace, and the extended title that it has. And they do just as good a job of like representing like some of the people that they've met there. And so in that, I think that they do a really good. Ooh, that looks awful. Ooh, no, what have I done? Look at that black square moving. That ain't right. No, sir, that ain't right. Ah, crap. Um, where's the next point? We need that not to behave like that. Damn. Okay. We're gonna go back a little ways. We're gonna fix all that. I think that's the epitome of it right there. So we're gonna take all this and then move this up like this. Hopefully that doesn't mess things up too much. So I don't know. I think it is funny. I think that um, damn, that looks really bad now. Let me do this and see how that's holding up. Okay, that's less bad, but I just need to adjust that position over a little bit. Um, yeah, I wouldn't say that, the scary movies are great. Um, the whole franchise, I don't know. It's just parody, right? Um, and as a person who's in comedy, who's doing a parody, I'm not the person to talk. Um, but like, I don't. Sketch movies, I think they're just so, I don't know, I don't get the point. I like to see characters, I like to see characters develop. um in those movies, I think you get a lot of jokes and you don't get a whole lot of character development or story because the jokes kind of get in the way. um so that's just me, and my own personal thoughts on that. um but I feel like that's what they do. I mean, they really do. I feel like they do develop the characters. There's a lot of heart in it. The guy who falls in love with the white girl, it's just some funny shit. It's just so stupid, and so like the way he like treats her, and it's just like how, I don't know. And the joke is like it's kind of on the white girls, but it's also kind of on the black community too. So I don't know. I do love white chicks. It might be because I'm absolutely tasteless in that regard. Comment below, if you think that I'm not a great person for that, whatever. Okay, so let's watch this. How this is rolling. We got the water rolling in the background. We get that sharp focus as it changes to her. In the foreground, we get the reveal of the Cox and their ship. Cool. She's walking towards him, and then I want his head to turn there, and then he says his line. Actually, it's probably going to be that he says his line. I don't remember those pussies being quite this fat. And then maybe we'll get Richard to turn around there. So, in that, there's so much that has to be done. Because, all right, I think this can be a problem I tackle in the next live stream we do. It might be later today, so guys keep out. But like, I think that we've done quite a bit here that I am happy about. So let me just watch that again. She's walking along, waves rolling in the background. This guy moving along just fine. She does that. He says his line, and then we get this shot. Okay. Which I am really liking here. So a couple of things that I would like to do. Water's moving. They're laying out. I would like this tail to like flick a little bit. So maybe that's a thing. And I do want her arm to be coming up as she comes up here. And she is going out of focus there. So there's something else I'll need to edit out. One of the things I'm like, I think I'm going to wait till the next podcast is because this right here, these guys right here, so they're part of the background right now. And so that's just to keep them all, everyone's moving, the whole background's moving by itself, and then the cat can move. It's for simplification. But in order to get him to move his head like that, is really, now I have to figure out, I have to change up this whole beach panel so that can be the case, right? I need to edit it so that his head is cut out so it can switch like that. And then it has to keep moving with the action of the shot without getting out of sync. And so it's like another piece that's going to be floating if I don't do it right. And there's, the way that this moves and the way that that moves are two, they're not going to move in tandem with each other. So how to pull this off is something that I'm going to need to sleep on and think about for a second. I do like the way that she's framed. I like the way that she's moving a lot in this shot. I mean, like, you see her in the foreground, she's out of focus, so we're looking at the background, and then it draws attention to this girl, Kat, as she's walking along the beach. This part's a little bit awkward, not gonna lie. I want it a little bit more angled as she gets there. And then, like I said, that's going to be a part they have to talk about. But and we only have a little bit of time at that point, seeing as it's right there is 20 seconds. So it's like here. I don't remember these pussies being quite so fat. And then his head will turn. Maybe Richard will turn there. I might just be like switching the whole panel out, and so it'll be interesting here because see how there's still movement, right? So it has to be matching that movement of that. So it's gonna have to be happening here in the shot, right? So it's like right about here is where I have to switch the beach panel for, and the scale's still happening here. So this might be the place that we can change it, is when everything settles out. But that leaves us, 2 seconds to do that. So anyway, thoughts below if you guys want to be a part of the process, maybe help me clear up some issues here. Maybe I've completely done it all wrong and need to start from scratch or whatever. You can comment that below if you want to. I am Skip Barozzi, your host and friend. Thank you for tuning in today and listening to my problems. Thank you for letting me just air those for you. I don't know, flame me in the comments if you want to. Maybe I am the asshole and I need to be told. That's fine. But thank you for being here. If you want to check out what we're doing, of course, go to coxinspace.com, coxinspace.com. You can check out our Discord up there. You can check out our Patreon because the nature of our show, we will probably not ever be monetized on YouTube for videos like this. So help us out on our Patreon if you could. You can also go to coxinspace.com and go to the merchandise section and get yourself T-shirts and or hats, socks, backpacks. So many great things. So absolutely do that and help us out in that way. If you want to be a part of the show and have some stuff from the show, we're glad to have you here with us. Tune in this week. We're going to be watching Stay Tuned on Flicking with Skip. No, I'm sorry, that's the old show. The show that we're doing now is Sick Flicks with Dylan and Skip, and Logan should be joining us on the regular. So join us there if you like to. That's now happening on Sunday afternoons from 3 to 4:30 Eastern time. You can tune into that live or catch that live stream. Either on the Discord or on YouTube. So I do appreciate you hanging out with us. Orange Boy is here to say goodbye and appreciate all you guys. We will catch you all in the future, possibly later today. So talk to you soon. Bye.